Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Sulk stream. I am your host. And you know me. I'm Sulk. The sulkening. The guy who sulks a lot. The guy who sulks all day. And sulks all night. Welcome to the show. It's a Monday. And we're just getting our week started off. And boy, has it been eventful. It's been interesting. It's been eventful. The internet is abuzz with all kind of nastiness. Let's call it nastiness and vitriol and intrigue. Even it's just been a hoot. I feel like I can describe it as a hoot. They've been attacking your old sulky man. Your old sulkster. Who knows why? Who could possibly know why? That mom Twitter happens to be an insanely toxic place, but, they got a little hold of my show. And boy, it has been something else. So, me and Jess have been on a little bit of a back and forth, Just kind of kicking it around. It's been fun. It's been interesting for me and for Jess, and, but it has gotten a little bit toxic. It's gotten a little out of hand. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I don't exactly know what to do. So I've decided tonight that I'm going to dive into this subject of why women are so unhappy with themselves and with each other and with life in general. And I think this should smooth things over very nicely, very adequately. And I think after this, we'll all be fast friends. So I hope you guys are here to enjoy some of that too. We're going to be listening a little bit of Schopenhauer. One of the great thinkers of the 1800s. I don't exactly know when he lived, but he lived. And the man was a critic, to say the least, of the female condition. And I'm just going to go ahead and dissect that and pick his brain a little bit and maybe try to relate it to the situation that I am currently going through. And hopefully you guys are going to chip in your 2 cents, and we're all going to have some laughs, and we're all going to have a good time. And, I got my mods on deck just in case it might get a little bit too spicy around here, which is possible. I'm not saying necessarily it's going to happen, but it is definitely possible. So, keep those guns cocked, boys. Keep those band hammers swinging. Anyway, I'm so happy to be back, and I'm so happy to be with you guys on this beautiful Monday evening in the month of August, the 25th. Starting to cool down. I appreciate that. I don't do well in the heat, and you're like, Sulk, why do you live in Florida? Well, that's because this is where my wife is from, and so I decided to leave my home state of California and venture on down here. Don't regret it. Hated California. I don't think you guys understand that my beliefs and my opinions didn't mesh well with the whole California aesthetic. I'm sure you probably understand where I'm coming from. But anyways, thank you so much for coming. I think we should get going. So get comfy and get cozy. Grab a nice bottle of whatever you want to grab. I'm not going to encourage one way or another. If you want to have a drink or two, by all means. If you don't, just sit there, listen, maybe throw a dono once in a while. I'm not going to sue you. If you're working, keep working. And if you are driving, continue to drive and drive safely and get home safely and, hug your pets and your wives and your kids and or your husbands, depending. We do have some female listeners, although there's a few cliques that they're kind of against old Sulky, but we'll talk about it. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming. I'm the Incredible Sulk. This is the Sulk Stream. And this is called Schopenhauer, Despised Female Nature. Enjoy.
Schopenhauer didn't criticize women gently.
Yep.
He launched a philosophical assault that still echoes centuries
Let's see what
later.
we can get.
In his infamous essay, On Women, he described them as short-sighted, manipulative,
Christian,
governed by instinct,
Aeneas,
and incapable of rational genius.
Based. Based. Yep. Fucking based. I feel like it's going to be like a sneeze tonight. Every time he says stuff, I'm going to be like, yeah, that's fucking true. That's some true ass shit right there. O'Neill's Goofy Boots, Strawberry, Renee's, Despite, background noise, Ardenshire, Carrie, the gang's all here.
To most modern ears, it sounds like
it's going to be interesting. We're just going to hop through this video. It's not very long, but then we can go off and see what else we're going to deal. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how this goes.
Cruel. But if you've ever been ghosted for a richer...
Background noise says, it's penis envy. Final answer. You're going for the entire Freud thing, right? Where like a cigar is a penis and a tie is a penis and like a coat rack is a penis and then something else is a penis. Yeah, it could be that entire penis envy. I like mine. Mine's pretty great. I don't know what it's like being a girl. It's got to be lousy, though. It's got to be lousy. They're constantly talking voices in their heads and stuff like that. And it's filled with nonsense.
Man, if you've ever watched her cry in front of you one day and flirt with someone else the next.
Renee says, we'll take care of them. Almost, but she does that in quotes as if it's like a threatening, like she's got brass knuckles. We'll take care of them. I don't even know if they're going to show up, but maybe they will. Maybe they're making things on my Twitter. Maybe not.
If you've ever felt that a woman's love could vanish as quickly as it arrived, then part of you already knows. Schopenhauer wasn't imagining things. He was describing patterns, ancient, evolved, and hidden in plain sight.
Well, yeah. I mean, this goes back. This goes way back to like a garden. And like the first time a woman was not at fault was when she ate that apple. And she was like, a snake tricked me into doing it. Like, for real? A snake tricked you into doing stuff. Like, honey, she's being very loud.
Long before a generation of men
being very loud. I don't know. I hear my wife talking very loudly. Do you hear that? What does that sound? Oh, I was like, what the hell is that? Oh my God. So, okay, that was weird.
Why does she say she loves me, but act like she doesn't even...
It was on my thing. Wait, listen. This is on my fucking... It's on this thing. It's on this thing. Listen. I thought it was my wife, and I was like, where the hell is that clicking come from? I'm sorry. I'll fix that later. But that was weird.
By the end of
that
this
was
video,
crazy.
You won't hate women, but you might stop trusting
Background
them.
noise says John's finally breaking. The voices are talking to him. That was a voice. You guys heard that. Everyone heard that.
Blindly. Let's begin. only a man whose intellect
Is this video 100% AI? Probably.
is clouded by his sexual impulses could give the name of the fair sex to that undersized, narrow-shouldered, broad-hipped, and short-legged race.
Okay. Those are strong statements. Those are some pretty strong statements, but I mean, okay. Go on, sir.
On women. You see, Schopenhauer believed life itself was a curse, a trap set by the will, a blind, relentless force of desire
Get it, buddy.
that drives all living things.
Get it.
And in this trap, he saw women not as companions, but as instruments of nature's manipulation.
Instruments of the devil.
To him, female beauty was a mirage, an evolutionary bait designed to lure men into slavery.
Okay.
The slavery of lust, the slavery of fatherhood, the slavery of...
I mean, is it slavery? I mean, you don't necessarily have to be a father. You can choose not to be a father, even if you are the father of a child. I mean, that's true. You don't have to stick around. You could bail. But, you know. So is that, I don't believe that's completely, I don't feel like I'm a slave to my kids. I like being around my kids. I like raising my kids. I have fun being a dad. So, but I mean, he is cooking. Let the man cook, for God's sake.
of emotional need. He called
Let him
women
cook, exactly,
by nature meant to obey, but warned that they rule through emotion, flattery, and deceit.
They
Not
are pretty
evil
manipulative. This is true. They are pretty manipulative.
per se, but cunning. He wrote that a woman's charm was not the sign of a soul, but a biological weapon, and her love
Okay, no soul. Confirmed. Whoa! No, I mean, like, again, let the man cook. I mean, I'm not saying women don't have souls. I don't think that's necessarily true. But it could be. I don't know. I'm not like a soul doctor. I don't know the intricacies of the soul and like who's got one and who doesn't. But like charm being the essence of the soul, no, it could just be a weapon. He's absolutely right about that. I'm not saying they don't have souls because they charm people and manipulate people, and not just men, but especially men, but also relatives, fathers, other women. I see women manipulate other women regularly. But that doesn't mean they don't have souls. I just don't think they consider their souls a lot.
a temporary arrangement, a lease, not a vow. In their youth, women are by nature designed to capture the fantasy of some...
Renee says, so weird. You enjoy your kids and love them stuff? Yeah. It's fucking crazy. Weird. Weird I enjoy being a father. Weird that I chose to marry my wife and then start a family unit. I know. Like 90% of millennials are not married, which is a wild statistic. Statistic. But if you look at some of the behavior out there, especially if you spend a lot of time on like X or something, I get it. I really do. And if you ever go on like Tinder or Plenty of Fish or any of those other apps which are not designed to, establish long-lasting relationships, it drains your soul. And, also there's economic factors that are at play. Like men can't like afford a house. And so why would a woman want to start a family with somebody who can't afford a house? But then they can afford a house because there's certain government programs that encourage companies to hire women and pay them not the same, but in fact more for less work than they do a man. So, yeah. It turns out not to be such a beneficial thing.
Man, a step for which there would not appear to be any sufficient warranty if reason only directed his thoughts. Schopenhauer believed that male suffering was rooted in illusion, especially the illusion of romantic love. While a man dreams...
So, are women capable of love? Couldn't tell you. Not a woman. Never been a woman. I don't know. Yeah, I think Jess loves her kids, and I think she loves me. So, there you go. But Schopenhauer seems to think differently. And I don't think Schopenhauer was just like... a lot of people would call him an incel these days. A lot of people would be like, oh, you're just a fat incel loser and stuff like that. You know how many people get called? I get called an incel all the time. Every single day. Obviously, I'm a fat incel loser. I'm not fat. I'm not an incel. Married with kids, and I'm in pretty good shape. So, you know. So, these are the jabs that they have. But, like, when you say somebody is an incel, and this is the first thing that comes out of their mouth. Oh, you're just an incel loser. You can't. Oh, women are more than just their bodies, but you're an incel. You don't have access to women's bodies, but women are more than just their bodies. So why is it an insult when somebody doesn't have access to a woman's body? If women are considered more than just sexual objects, why do you reduce all of your value to a sexual object? Why do you try to change politics and policy by going like Me Too or like stopping people from having sex? Like, we're not going to fuck anybody until Trump is no longer president. Seriously, if women are more than just sexual objects, are more than just their bodies, why is that your only recourse to do anything, to change anything socially? Why is it constantly that? Why is it constantly that? Why is a man automatically a nothing if he doesn't have access to a female body? Aren't you more than your body? So, is your body the end-all be-all to whether somebody is worthy of an opinion or not? This is a very serious question. I really want to know, because you're going back and forth here. Women say they're more than just their bodies, but then they say we are just our body. See, you see what you're doing here? Everything is reduced to sexuality with women. It's always just, well, you can't have sex with us, so you must be a nobody. Really? You're not going to, like, debate him on his opinions and, like, cite sources or have any sort of logical backups whatsoever? You're just going to call him an incel. Not knowing a thing about him, you're just going to call him an incel, and then that's your argument? You see how infuriating that is? When there's absolutely no attempt to change somebody's mind or even take a stab at a rational argument, it just automatically devolves into name calling. And the weirdest kind of name calling, because you don't want to be known as sluts, or you do, maybe in today's context. But if people don't have access to your body, they're bad. They're bad for some reason. They're unworthy for some reason. It's hypocritical. It's hypocritical. But you can't tell them this. You just cannot tell them this. They'll just glaze over. Nothing doing.
Of passion, a future, legacy. She dreams of survival, of security. And if someone else offers a better deal, she leaves. He called female...
Despite says, I've never been called an incel. What am I doing wrong? You ain't speaking the truth, my friend. You need to speak more truth. And here's the thing. People get pissed off when you say true things. I can rattle off a bunch of lies all the time. A million different lies. And people won't get upset. But the instant I say something true, that's when people get mad. That's when people start lobbing insults. Start calling me an incel. Start calling me fat. Start calling me this or that or whatever. But if what I said was completely untrue and had no basis in reality, it would simply be ignored. that's just the end of it. That's just the end of it. But no, you get scores of people. Women stick together. They really do. They do stick together. Even though they do dislike each other, they dislike men more. They don't like anybody really. They'll say they love each other and all that. That's not true. They'll immediately throw each other under the bus for no reason. I've seen that too.
Male affection, a short-lived bloom, designed not to last, but to capture. And here's the part that stings. Schopenhauer wasn't trying to be poetic. He was trying to wake you up. Because centuries before, dating apps, no-fault divorce, or sugar daddy websites, he already saw the code. He saw the biological machinery behind the flirtation,
Yeah, he was like, these bitches be crazy. And like this entire feud that I was simply defending my wife, and it got out of hand. Admittedly, it did get out of hand, but there was so much vitriol being poured in, and I don't know if you check my X account. It's still going on. I don't typically block people, but like there's a certain point at where I'm like, okay, this has gone too far. I want to move on. I've got other fights going on, and just because I pissed off a bunch of moms on Twitter, but they're really more attacking me than they are Jess. But I was simply defending Jess. Then they glommed onto the old Rumble channel, and I'm sure they're going to be watching this too.
Yes.
I'm sure they're going to be watching this
too. He
too.
saw the mask, and unlike other thinkers, he wasn't afraid to rip it off.
Despite says I get called asshole plenty, just not an incel. I don't know, bud. I don't know. Maybe you're not saying the right things. I could go on X right now, and within 5 minutes, some bitch will call me an incel. It's not hard.
One needs only to observe the way women dress, speak, and behave to see that they are governed by vanity, cunning, and instinct, not reason. His words
These are true.
brutal,
this is true.
but they hit on a pattern that modern men quietly recognize. A woman who cries one day and cheats the next. A woman who says,
if she's crying, she's lying. Right? You've heard that, haven't you? If she's crying, she's lying.
I love you, but scans for better options behind your back. A woman who punishes not with fists, but with silence, guilt, or sudden withdrawal. Schopenhauer said, This is not a glitch in female nature. It is female nature. Not because she's cruel, but because she's optimized. He wasn't describing evil.
Hello, Dan Snide. Goofy Boots says, you sleep in a big bed with your wife. No, my wife goes in a small box and I slide it underneath the bed. And when I wake up the next morning, I let her out so she can make me breakfast.
He was describing evolution before science.
I'm like, wake up. And I just dump her out of it, right? I just like a body out of a casket. And then she knows immediately just to get up and start making coffee. I don't even have to say anything. I just roll her out of it.
Science had the tools to confirm it. And that is where it gets truly disturbing. Because today's...
Christian says, if you want to make John mad, call him an incel. Don't call him an incel. Call him an honorary white. Okay. All right.
Psychologists and relationship experts, they're starting to agree with him.
Arden Sire says, let us die in the heat of battle. Plus, it's good for ratings. Look, dude, I mean, it's been wild. It is absolutely been wild. It's not something that I planned on getting wrapped up in because I don't give two hot shits for mom Twitter. Like, I am not involved in mom Twitter. But Jess is actually a very integral part. She was a mod in a group called Hearts and Wombs that she actually had to step down from because people were harassing the admin who was currently going through a very rough pregnancy, and we only hope the best for her. And Jess didn't want toxic people, harassing the admin who had done nothing wrong. So Jess decided to step down. She didn't get kicked or anything. I said don't do that, but I understand her decision. I understand her decision, and it wasn't my decision to make. But like, ooh, when they get their teeth into something, and it's not just the moms, there's several men that are involved too. That I don't know really what to say about them, but they do seem weak-minded and weak-willed.
Has equipped woman with the weapons and implements requisite for the safeguarding of her existence. On women. When Schopenhauer wrote that women are loyal only to their child, not to their man, people...
There's actually some comments in here that say they're not loyal to their child, and they've actually betrayed their child. I don't, these are, what's it called? Not colloquial. Whatever. But I'm sure it happens. I've heard it happen. I've heard of it happening.
Called
yes.
it delusion. But modern evolutionary psychology has a word for what he was pointing to. Hypergamy. The quiet law behind almost every failed relationship, every sudden breakup, every case where a man says, I gave her everything, and she still left.
Couch Surfing says, I'm going to start doing videos and streams about Mom Twitter. They've convinced me. So Jess is coming back to streaming, I guess. She's going to start doing streams again because of this. Okay, by all means, hon. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I'll unlock your box, and then you can, I'm not your shackles and stuff because I can't risk that. And then you can drag your chains into the office, and then you can start doing a stream. Be my guest until I decide otherwise.
Hypergamy is a woman's evolved
Get back to work, Jess, says Goofy Boots. Steam whistle. Can I look up? I'm going to get a steam whistle.
Select the highest value man available. Not just physically, but
whistle.
socially, emotionally, financially. She wants the best deal possible because nature designed her that way.
This is true. These are all true facts. Steam whistle. Okay. Now she won't be so lazy. I mean, she really literally has no ability to be lazy, so that's not a good one. That's not a good one. Here, we need a. Here we go. No, I need like the working kind, like at a sweatshop. What's it? No, that's lame. That's lame. Give me a good one. I need a good steam whistle. This is a compilation of steam whistles. Hold on. Okay. What kind of autistic asshole? No, I need sweatshop. Hold on. I know I'm disrupting everything because I need a sweatshop steam whistle. This is how Jess wakes up.
Come here. Where the hell have you been?
It's only 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God, I've been here since the workers.
What? I have to start.
I have to let her go. You heard the man, T. Get off the floor.
Oh my God.
Off the
You know
floor
what?
now, T. Off the floor.
Get out of here!
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to find a legit steam
If
whistle.
a better
but
deal walks
yeah.
into the room, studies by researchers like David Buss have shown that women consistently rate status, ambition, and resource access as more important in a mate than men do.
Well, that just makes sense. Right? I mean, money. Right? And ambition is actually, honestly, a very important thing. Money, look, I would argue that ambition is more important than money, but money is extremely important. Don't get me wrong, because even with ambition, a lot of times if you don't have money, you're not going anywhere. But there's also resource access to like intelligence too. You have to be a certain level of intelligent and ambitious to trump money, you see. But of course, if you have all three, you're a fucking winner right there.
Women's attraction even shifts during their
Lucas Hardar says, hoes be shopping. This is true. These are facts.
fertility cycle, favoring dominance, strength, and confidence when ovulating. Schopenhauer had
Yeah, she does. Yeah. High five, guys. High five. Okay. Yeah, she does.
no access to this data, but he didn't need it. He saw it in the way women flirted, moved, chose, and abandoned. Woe then to the man who
You
set
forgot about the air raid sirens? Yeah. Yeah. I use those when I'm mad at you, though.
sets up
Catastrophic
claims and
season.
interests that will conflict with female instinct. Women evolved under harsh conditions. Their lives depended on selecting the right man, one who could protect and provide.
O'Neill says, just watch. Jess gets more subs than donos, lol. Yeah. Trust me. I won't be I would not. No, dude. I won't be fucking surprised. Not even a little bit. It just starts streaming a lot again, and she like racks up like fucking donos and like subscribers and stuff like that. I will not be surprised in the least bit. I'm a man. All right? I have to work for my position in life. She doesn't. She's just a girl, right? She gets everything handed to her. And if she disagrees, these are facts. These are hard, and she's pretty too. So it's like, come on. Yeah, no, I am a man. I have to actually work at this. I have to get better, and I actually have to provide a service that's more than just my looks. I know my looks are stunning. You don't have to like stroke my ego, but I mean you can if you want. I'll take that.
Even at the expense of loyalty. So nature gave her tools.
Ardenshire, Schopenhauer, The Origin of Manosphere. We found the patient zero here. No, we didn't. Schopenhauer was not the first cat to start talking about the nature of women. Socrates fucking was laying into chicks 1,000 years at least before that. Probably it was like 2,000 years. It was a long time ago. And Socrates wasn't even the first guy. The first guy was God. You know, God was like, okay, here is something. You're going to have to work with that. Right? He made man, and he was like, yeah, that's in my image. That's pretty sweet right there. And then he was like, and man was lonely, and God was like, well, I already used up most of my stuff, so do you really need all those ribs? Can we use one of those? And there you go, women. This is a bad rib, too.
Beauty, emotional
This is the trick rib.
intelligence, the ability to signal innocence while
Cash Traffic says being a woman is pretty easy as long as you don't take things too seriously. Well, I mean, she's absolutely right about that. I'm kind of a shit stirrer. And if you don't, I mean, like, if Jess constantly took me seriously about, like, the things I say, especially on the show, she would just be a miserable feminist bitch, dude. She would be impossible to be around. And even if I didn't say the things, what if I just, like laid down every time she had an opinion? She wouldn't respect me at all. She would have zero respect for me. Just like those feminist guys who are honestly pretty dangerous, who just like marry those feminist chicks, and then they're not happy, and neither are the women. They constantly scowl. Like, because they feel like they have to lead the relationship. Because the guy just lays down every time she says something, or you know, she has an opinion. He can't like, oh no, honey, that's a stupid opinion. You'll never hear that out of his mouth. If Jess says something stupid, I'll be like, that was a stupid thing to say. You shouldn't say stupid things like that. Be quiet from now on.
Negotiating. This is why women
Thank you,
initiate
Phone
the
Test.
majority of
Phone Test
divorces.
got it covered.
Why the
Phone Test brought me a steam whistle. Get to work! Thank you. I'm gonna keep that on hand. Thank you.
they often feel emotionally unfulfilled despite having stability. Why ghosting, silent treatment, and manipulation are not rare outliers, but recurring patterns. It's not that women are
Onia says Jess has to start a VTuber account. I don't even know what that is. I don't know what a VTuber account is.
lying. It's that their instincts rewrite their truths. And where man seeks meaning, permanence...
Ardent Shara says, yeah, but the Greeks were all raging meat gazers. Modern manosphere here. Nope, got nothing. You're absolutely right.
devotion. She seeks
You're absolutely
advantage.
right. They were pretty gay. I mean, they were right about a lot of stuff, though. They definitely made a lot of good points. But yeah, they did pound boy ass for sure.
And in today's dating culture, where endless options are available at the swipe of a finger, that instinct is no longer subtle. It's accelerating. And unless you understand what she's optimizing for, you'll keep offering loyalty to someone wired for selection. And that's the part Schopenhauer
Renee says this whole thing is going off the rails already. Are you talking about this video or the entire thing that's going on with Mom Twitter? You have to be more specific, Renee.
screamed that men refuse to hear. She loves you until she doesn't need to.
Until she doesn't need to. That's true. That is true. That is true. And this is why men ask the question, can women actually love someone? I believe they can, but I can see why some men, or a lot of men, or the majority of men don't believe that. I could definitely see that.
Schopenhauer wasn't just warning men about beauty. He was warning them about the power beneath the beauty. He believed women ruled, not through logic or force, but through emotional domination. And today, psychology confirms this in a new language: covert power. In ancient times, a woman couldn't fight a man physically. She had to fight psychologically, with charm, with shame, with confusion.
Yeah, you used to just be able to smack her. And they stayed in line. You know, women were a lot happier back then. I promise you they were. They were. Look, I'm half kidding about that. I know you shouldn't like beat a woman and stuff like that. But for real though, for realsy reals, they were happier. I'm not saying they were happier because they got beat. There could be a whole bunch of different factors playing into it about the overabundance of options when it comes to like Twitter and stuff like that. Too much power in decisions, jobs. You know, there's lots of modern factors that are playing into the unhappiness of women. And the unhappiness of women directly affects the happiness of men. Men aren't happy either. They're pretty upset as well. But like women have a lot of power these days, and they're not going to relinquish it, right? There's a bunch of state power, there's a bunch of legal powers that they have because we now have to consider them people.
And in modern society,
Didn't used to be like that.
where brute strength is no
No.
longer the dominant force, that ancient weapon has only gotten sharper. Robert Greene, in the 48 Laws of Power,
Renee says, I'm just saying women probably would respond better if they weren't raging F-slurs. Yeah, sure. I mean, look, you could say stuff like that all day, but it doesn't really matter. That is the case currently. Well, and the problem is human society has lasted for millennia, and only recently it has started to break down to a degree where it's causing the human population to decline rapidly. It's causing a lot of misery and pain all over the world, not just in the West, but especially in the West. And it didn't used to be like that because, well, the government and the law didn't step in to say, oh, a girl gets half of a man's things no matter what. A girl doesn't have to have a reason to get a divorce. A girl doesn't have to, keep herself a virgin before marriage. A girl doesn't have to do this, doesn't have to do that, and doesn't have to do that. Major things helping to contribute to the growth of society. While at the same time being like, girls have the options to do anything they want, no matter what. And the government is going to back them up, and the laws are going to back them up, and the police are going to back them up, no matter what, and take their side almost automatically. When there is a domestic dispute and the cops come to the house, no matter what, they are removing the man. No matter what, they are removing the man. And they probably will arrest him, and then it's good. In Florida, you get a red flag law, which means you don't get to have a gun ever again, which is stupid. Honestly, that's stupid. Because I don't know the laws exactly around that. I don't know if you need to have hard proof of that he's a danger to remove the weapons, or you could just say, oh, he's a bad man, take his guns, and then they'll come in. I don't know the situation behind that, but I know that accusations have been levied against men where they have lost rights. Could you imagine the reverse of that, where a man could just claim something about a woman and her life is essentially ruined, her rights are taken away from her, she's jailed? No, of course not. That's silly. That's silly to think, and women wouldn't stand for it. Something women have is a very strong in-group preference, something that men don't have, because men compete with each other for women, but women don't compete with each other for men. Many women can share the same man. They might get a little jealous about it, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. They can still both get pregnant. Look, I'm just talking like in the grand scheme of things. I'm not saying like one guy should knock up a bunch of bitches. I'm not saying that, but biologically, that is the case. So these biologics have extended to their psyche, and it dictates how they act around people, how they act in society, and other things.
Warns about emotional manipulators.
Shemo Street says men are awesome. Yeah, we are pretty cool.
Those who disarm through charm, seduce through
Critical Thought says red flag laws don't just apply to men, LOL. Yes, you're right. And in Florida, specifically, the charge rate for men versus women in domestic violence cases equal. So, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at all. So what? Do women get punished for domestic violence as much as men? I kind of doubt that. Sure, look, women are going to be just as violent towards men as men are towards women. This is a fact, right? But women aren't really going to get any charges for it. They're not going to be punished for it. They don't have any guns anyway, so it's not like they're going to miss their guns or something like that. I'm just saying it's very lopsided. It's very lopsided against men. It doesn't matter who charges who. That doesn't matter.
Vulnerability and dominate by creating guilt. Sam Vaknin, in his research on
Anita says having kids with multiple people would suck. Well, women do it a lot.
female narcissists.
It's true. I mean, I'm not saying men don't do it a lot. Well, I mean, it really depends what kind of men. But like women do that shit a lot. They do.
Outlines how emotional withholding, cold rage, and silent treatment are used
Critical Thought says, well, you said imagine if a man could call the cops on a woman and lie. They can. Yeah, the cop's not going to believe them.
not as random behaviors,
And even if they did believe them, they wouldn't do anything except for remove the man, like I just said.
but as control tactics. Think about it. She doesn't argue with reason. She
Thought says, I've had false charges filed on me twice. And what happened? What happened? Did you go to jail? Did you lose your kids? Did you lose half your stuff? What happened, Thought?
cries. She doesn't demand. She withdraws. She doesn't hit. You just find yourself apologizing again and again. She gets what she wants, not by asking, but by making you afraid of disappointing her. This isn't always conscious. Women are often unaware of these tactics because they've evolved to use them naturally. And
Sure.
yet, men
They don't understand. They're working instinctually. There's not like a logical step. They're not like plotting. This is just their next instinctual move. And, yeah, a lot of times it seems very cruel and evil, but it's not evil. It's just, it is instinctual. It just happens, right? They're not like thinking about it. Calling it premeditated is not accurate. Because this is just what their physiology tells them to do. It's not even their thinking, rational mind. LOL.
still walk into these traps because they've been trained to submit
Critical Thought says, no, I have a perfect record. The other person didn't. That's for sure. Well, there you go.
to female emotion. They're told, be sensitive, be patient, understand her feelings.
In neither case was I in the same city or state as the person claiming charges. In both cases, the cops turned around and charged them with filing false charges. Well, there you go. Did you do it, though? We're all friends here. I'm not going to rat you out. But did you do it?
But no one warns
Did
them
you?
that sometimes
But the same could... Look, there's been cases of women trying to get men on the line for child support that are not only not related to the child, but not even in a relationship with the woman. Like, there's women who have been like, this guy babysat my kid. Can I get him on the line for child support if he took on a fatherly role? I bet I can make that happen. And she's probably right. She could probably argue, oh, he took on a fatherly role and now he's got to pay child support for these kids that aren't even related to him just because he decided to do something nice and watch her kids one time.
those feelings are strategic.
This is why men don't want to help women. This is why, and this is your own fault. This is your own fault. This is your own doing. There are so many men out there that are nice and caring and giving and helpful. Instinct, because that's our instinct. That our instinct is to be helpful protectors, right? But women have engineered society so lopsided that it's not even safe to save a woman from drowning because she's going to sue you if you try to give her CPR. That's real shit right there. This is a problem. This has become a huge problem for women, specifically for women. A man can go like into a monk's life and just like, well, I'm not getting laid ever again. I guess that doesn't matter. I guess I'll play video games and drink beer until I'm dead. And, that can be hard. But a lot of men could just be like, I can find a certain level of peace in that. I don't think women are going to be so happy with that or as happy with that. There's a lot of things that women need men for, just as much as men need women for, right? Taking out the garbage, fucking fixing stuff around the house, killing spiders, stopping some guy from raping you. These are all things. right? Fathering your children. I know you can get any Tom, Dick, and Harry to father your kids, and it's not that big of a deal. But, like, you know, you kind of want the father of your kids to, like, be around, right? I don't know. That's a woman thing. If that's not a big deal to you, then that's you. That's you.
Schopenhauer knew. He wrote that women don't conquer men through argument, but through emotion.
Critical Thought says, I've actually never hit a man besides Sulk. I learned my lesson. His wife never lives in town. She did hit me. I forgot about that. She did. She smacked me upside the head.
That what men see as affection can often be a bargain.
Oh, yeah,
You'll
good
think,
times.
She loves me. But what's really happening is this. You're being shaped, trained, conditioned to please, perform.
Arden Shire says, that's kind of the shit would lead me to research how to make bodies disappear. What? What? I don't know what you're actually referring to.
And comply, just to keep the affection flowing. Until one day...
Couch Surfing says, like, you're disagreeable and aggressive, and I truly mean that in an admirable way. She's talking about me. I am disagreeable. I can be aggressive. I'm not going to take no shit. Gator don't take no shit. All right? Because I'm not like that. I'm not going to fucking lay down and just get fucked in the ass. It's not good for me, and it's not attractive for women. Right? Women don't want you to, like, just... They're constantly going to shit test you. All right? And some males fail time after time. That doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to leave you, but she will lose respect for you. And then she's going to end up cheating on you. I've seen those relationships. They're not pretty. We have all seen the relationships where the female clearly wears the pants. I know you have. I know you know what I'm talking about. It's unattractive. It just in general, you know?
It doesn't. And you're left wondering what you did wrong. But the answer isn't what you did wrong. It's that your usefulness expired. If Schopenhauer could see the modern man today, he wouldn't be surprised.
Thought says it was a knee-jerk reaction that my head would turn the steering... that in my head would turn the steering wheel. I had just met you, Thought. And you thought smacking me would make me turn the steering wheel. I'm sorry. That speaks volumes about you. You know, I'm not saying you're a bad person or, like, you know, anything like that. But it does kind of say something. It says something. It says something. And not that I was, like, had a huge issue with it. Jess did. Jess didn't like that. But I thought it was funny. Because you're just a girl. You know. Who cares?
Surprised. He'd be vindicated. Because the night...
She said, Thought says, I've never driven a boat. I got excited and confused. Yeah, girl.
Nightmare he predicted.
I'm not going to let a girl drive a boat. That's suicide.
The emotional ruin. The broken spirit. The obedient male...
Odia says, imagine how Thought treats a cab driver. Especially when she's hammered. Thought, be honest, you've tipped a few. Right? You've never smacked a cab driver when you... No? I'm just saying, things happen. Things happen.
Healing at the altar of false affection. It's already here. Modern men are trained to fail. Not by accident, by design. They're taught to suppress instinct, question masculinity, worship female emotion, and apologize for wanting anything in return.
Couch Surfing says, no, I was talking about Thought. Well, it doesn't matter.
They believe love is about sacrifice. That the more you...
That was fun, Thought. We had a good time, didn't we? We went out on a pontoon boat, and we went tubing. It was fun.
Give, the more she'll stay. And so, they give, and give, and give, until they have nothing left. What Schopenhauer feared most has become our culture's script, the self-sacrifice.
Critical Thought says, I don't take cabs. I've only done Uber once when a cop made me and he kicked me out of the car halfway and I got my money back. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, Thought. Jesus Christ. I'm just, you never think it's you. I mean, you never think it's you. How many bars have you been kicked out of? Tell me honestly, how many bars have you been kicked out of? Not saying I haven't been kicked out of bars. I have. But, like, how many bars have you been kicked out of? I've been cut off at bars. Yeah.
Male, the romantic fool, the man who builds an empire just to offer it to someone who was never loyal.
Tejas says, that's because you're a problem, Thought. Thought? You might be a problem. You might be a little bit of a problem. Not saying you're not great and, like, we're friends and stuff, But, however, you might have an issue. You might have an issue. And I know how many bars you've been kicked out of. All right? Unless you've racked up more since the last time you told me, it is a number that is much larger than you would think. Anybody would think. Anybody would think.
Only to what he provided. We now have a generation of men addicted to female.
Thought says this is a safe space. And then she says, like every other one. Like every other bar. Like 50% of the bars. This is a safe space. I'm not knocking you. No one's ganging up on you, Thought. This is a safe spot. This is a safe space. And you're completely safe here. All right? Nobody's judging you at all. Okay? We're just talking about simple female nature here. You're a female. You're one of the spicier females. I'll give you that. All right? You're one of the... that's as nice as I can put it. But I'm just saying, yeah, sometimes women can do things automatically. And then it still not be their fault.
Being alone.
It's not premeditated. It's not like a what were you thinking? Oh, I wasn't thinking. Because it's not thinking. It's just she smacked me because she thought it would turn the boat. Because that's how she thinks boats work. And I forgive you 100% because I believe you. Because I believe you, Thought.
Afraid to lead. Afraid to say no. Afraid to walk away. And when she leaves... because she always can.
Christian says 109 bars. She's not. Okay. All right.
They don't know who
okay.
They are.
That was unnecessary. It was funny, but it was unnecessary to just, toss that one in there.
Romanticism was the poison. It clouds reason. It blinds.
Tejas says 50% is a good average. I'm proud of you. That's a failing grade, Tejas. That is a failing grade. Like, okay, this is a pass-fail system. Are you able to not get thrown out of bars? No. Well, you have a 50% success rate. That's a fail. That's a hard fail. If you got thrown out of 20% of bars, that's a solid B-. That's a B-, and I'll give you a passing grade right there. But 50%, you're going to need to drink less.
It's judgment.
That's the only, unless you're like stone cold, no. It'd be worse if you were sober and got thrown out of a bar. If you're sober and you get thrown out of a bar, that's pretty bad. So, that, I've never seen somebody sober get thrown out of a bar. But if you can get thrown out of a bar sober, that's honestly impressive to me. I'm impressed by that.
It's ruin.
I don't know if that's happened to you, but...
Modern male is paying the price. Divorce courts filled with men losing everything. Dating markets skewed by apps, vanity, and disposable affection. Fathers erased.
Thought says, no, dude, it just weeds out the boring bars with stuck-up staff. Okay, that's a way of looking at it. That's a way of looking at it, sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I only get thrown out of the boring bars. Okay. Whoa. That is an impressive coping That is a wild statement. That is a fucking wild statement to me. Thought, I only get thrown out of boring bars is the wildest shit I've ever heard anybody say. That is fucking hilarious. I have to like... That is fucking crazy. Do you understand how fucking crazy that sounds? I only get thrown out of the boring bars? That means you're fucking crazy, dude. Like, whoa. 50% of bars. How many, like, where do you live where there's enough bars? But maybe you're right. I don't know. Are they even all bars, or are they like family restaurants that serve beer that you're sneaking liquor into? Like, do we have a very loose definition of what a bar is? Like, can you punch a bartender and not get thrown out of a certain type of bar? Because you're right. I do want to see that bar. I mean, I've been to some rough bars in my time. I really, really have. Me and Jess have gone to some fucking crazy ones. Right? Right, honey? I want to see the ones where you don't get thrown out of. Where you act like thought and then you don't get thrown out of that. I want to see that bar. And yeah, I'm going to be fucking packing.
Masculinity.
Because if you don't get thrown out, it's dangerous in there.
Mocked. It's because men are lied to. They were told women love unconditionally. They were told that being soft would save them. They were told the more they gave, the more they'd receive. But nature doesn't care about your fairy tale. It only cares about advantage. And if you don't understand that, you become prey. Schopenhauer didn't write to make you bitter. He wrote to make you bulletproof. His philosophy...
Thought goes on to say, listen, sometimes I go out with the goal of getting kicked out, but okay. Helps me stay on the straight and narrow if I have nowhere to go. That's reasonable. That's reasonable, I guess. I mean, make yourself a pariah. That way you're just not allowed back there. That's a way of doing it. Never thought of doing it that way. Nope. I've been kicked out of a couple of bars. And like, not even because I was like causing problems. It's just I got too drunk and they threw me out. But like, that's something, you know? I would love to see like a big bouncer just drag you out of the bar as you're throwing fists and feet and stuff like that. Like, it would be fun. It would be fun for me. It would be fun to watch. How many bars in Daytona? Because I know you've been thrown out of bars specifically in Daytona. Which is an achievement. Okay? Because in Daytona, they don't throw anybody out. They don't throw anybody out unless you're like pretty much causing crimes. You're committing crimes. And like, especially not the girls. So like, how many bars in Daytona?
It wasn't a tantrum against women. It was a rebellion against illusion. A call for men to reclaim their clarity.
Carbon 66 says, we were playing darts in a bar once and just a few darts started flying in random directions. That would make me mad. That if I got a fucking dart in the skull, if I'm like just chilling and I'm like having a beer and then it's like sticking in me. I'd throw it back. I would cause a fucking problem. I would cause if I caught a fucking dart in the head, I would cause a fucking problem. I really would. That would get me thrown out of a bar. But you throwing darts at customers would also get you thrown out of a bar. So we'd both just be fighting on the street.
Their control, their self-possession. Because once you understand female nature, not the fantasy.
We were very, very drunk and got told to get the fuck out. Yeah. One way of getting thrown out of a bar immediately is like smashing a glass bottle over the bar. Like that. Then you're gone. Doing that and you're gone. I've been in a few. I haven't been in like. I'm not like Roadhouse, right? But I have been in a couple of bar fights. Okay, and they're not like the greatest. They're not my shining achievements. Okay, but yeah, you do get thrown out.
But the real machinery behind
Just automatic. The thing about me is, I'm very mouthy. I'm very mouthy. And when I'm drunk, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I'll say anything to anybody. And it has caused issues. It has caused issues. But like, I usually don't like go fucking crazy. I don't get kicked out of 50% of the bars I go into. I've been kicked out of maybe 3 ish. You know, there's been a lot of nights where it's been kind of fuzzy.
You stop expecting her to save you, and you start saving yourself.
And Pooh says, no, you mouthy? Nah. Yeah, I know it's hard to believe, but I can be a little bit disrespectful sometimes. To just anybody. I don't give a fuck. Even if you're fucking huge. You're a big old... I can't say it because YouTube, but yes, this has been a recurring problem for me. Don't go to bars much. Almost never now, but it was a thing.
Schopenhauer's answer wasn't hatred.
Critical Thought says, I don't relate at all. Yeah. Sure.
It was detachment.
Sure.
He wrote, the wise man places his happiness
Right.
not in the gratification of desire, but in its denial. In other words, don't chase her.
Despite says, I'm very good at darts. You know what, Despite? I believe you. I don't know why I believe you, but I believe you. I don't know why. Well, you don't drink. And drinking makes you bad at stuff. It makes you bad at all kinds of things.
Chase mastery. Don't.
This is true. Don't chase women. Chase being good at stuff. Women don't really like to be... I mean, they do. They enjoy being pursued, right? But only by somebody they've already picked. They don't want to feel like the picker. You know, they want to feel like they've been picked, but they don't want to be like, you know, stalked. They don't like that. You know, don't be like, this will be romantic because I'm hiding in her bushes and stuff like that. Yeah. 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 They don't like that. But maybe they do. If they already are into you and then you're stalking their bushes, maybe they're into that. I don't know. Bitches be wild sometimes. Bitches be wild. They're all over the map.
To be consumed by her moods, her beauty, her approval. Build a life she can.
Pot says I got kicked out of my local pizza place, not even a bar, for asking the old man at the table next to us about his wife. Damn, does she ever shut the fuck up? What's your secret, man? God damn it, Thought. What? How do you get kicked out of a pizza place? How do you get kicked out of a pizza place? By doing that, I suppose. But I kind of doubt that's all you did, too. You did more than that, didn't you? You did more than that. You threw a drink in the old lady's face. Didn't you? And then tried to take her man.
Cannot manipulate. Modern Stoicism echoes this message, that a man must never be ruled by emotion, especially when it's coming from someone else.
Carbon says I just hit them in the head and dragged them back to my cave. Based.
Stoic doesn't react. He responds. He
Honestly,
doesn't
excuse me. Honestly, Carbon, women are into that. I mean, look, they don't have to make any decisions. They don't even have to walk. They just end up where they're going and stuff. That women inherently are lazy. They're lazy creatures, and they want to do as little as possible to achieve their goal. And if they want to be plowed, sometimes you just have to be like, I'm just kidding, obviously. Or am I?
beg for love. He filters it. He doesn't collapse under guilt.
Knobs Dog says, Bahama John, well done on the afternoon day wave. Thank you. We had a good time. We had a blast. Yeah, that was fun.
Questions it. He doesn't romanticize suffering. He
Yeah, I don't know where Mersh is. Mersh is just out.
learns from it.
I don't know.
This isn't coldness, it's maturity. Because the moment you stop letting her define your worth, you stop...
Thought says she ruined our meal with her blabbering, mindless gossip. You were drunk, Thought, weren't you? And then, like, some lady was talking to her husband, and you leaned over and you're like, hey, how do you get her to shut the fuck up? Which is, honestly, God, I mean, like, I would hang out with you, Thought. I have hung out with you. But, like, I want to see you in a bar setting where it's just, like, dangerous. But I'm like a father and stuff. I can't get killed.
living like a
I
servant.
can't get killed.
And that's when you become dangerous. A man who no longer needs validation is ungovernable. He doesn't get trapped by soft words or soft skin. He sees the smile and...
Thought says I also took her slice of pie. Yeah. I feel like there's more to it, but I'm going to go ahead and... Yeah.
reads the
I
strategy.
feel like there's more
He
to
sees
it,
the
though.
affection and still protects his throne. This is what Schopenhauer wanted. Men who see. Men who think.
Thought says no. No, I don't want to hang out with her at a bar.
Me?
No, me. I don't want to hang out with Thought because she's fucking crazy.
I think it would be fun.
I'm sure it would be fun. I mean, we hung out on the boat. We had a good time on that boat. I understand you're crazy. I just want to see you in a crazier setting where, like, there's a 50% shot of you getting thrown out of the bar. Right? Because that's what she gets thrown out of every other bar. Some of them aren't even bars. Some of them are pizza places and, like, Chuck E. Cheese's and stuff. And, like, a McDonald's. You shouldn't be drinking at McDonald's. Okay? This is in Italy. All right?
Or Chuck E. Cheese.
Well, come on. Half the people in Chuck E. Cheese are drunk. Drunk Mexicans.
Men who can love a
Drunk
woman
Mexicans.
deeply, but to never forget what she is. Because she is not your savior. She is not your therapist. She is not your mother. She is a creature
You guys are my therapist and my mom. You guys are all my mom and my therapist. And I'm, like, so disappointed in, like, all of you.
of instinct, of mood, of shifting loyalty.
Technically,
And when you
there's always a
accept
50% chance. Yeah,
Without
that's true.
rage, without bitterness, you become sovereign. You don't hate her. You
Look, yeah, no, I mean, just don't listen to him. Look, I feel like Schopenhauer's big thing, like his deep realization, his epiphany is just like, man, bitches be crazy. Ignore them. There. I just, the entire, every book he's ever written and stuff like that, I'm just like, bitches be wildin'. There, that's it. That's everything. He goes into a lot more detail, but I feel like my statement covers it. Right? They're crazy. Don't listen to them. Right? They're going to do things that you don't like or approve or understand. Deal with that. Just accept that. Be like, women are going to be women. Always. Like, I don't understand why people get upset. Like, actual legit incels, I don't get why they're upset. I don't get why they're upset when they're all like, well, here's the thing. I kind of do understand why they're upset. It's because all their lives they've been encouraged to give up so much. With the return promises of eventually they're going to have a wife and a family and have this romantic Disney love that, you know, they've been sold as boys and young men, you know, growing up and stuff. And a lot of them have done these things and like worked hard and like, you know, made something of themselves or at least tried to their best. And then they just get shot down and rejected time after time after time after time, especially these days, right? Where the top 10% of men are the ones that are really, you know, doing okay at all. And then 90% of guys just don't get anything. Just don't get anything. So there has to be a growing resentment. Not even, I mean, growing. It's grown. It's here and it's big. Men have been promised something that has not been delivered. And so they're at the point where they're like, fuck it then. I'm not going to pursue women. I'm going to tell people what I actually think about women and female nature and stuff like that. And women don't like this at all. But they constantly berate these men for being incels and stuff like that. And they're like, fine, we're incels. We're just going to completely detach, which is very bad for women. Which is insanely bad for women. For so many reasons why that is an absolute disaster for women. If incels want nothing from you, or let's say 90% of men want nothing from you, you lose all of your power. This is why you berate men and call them incels and stuff like that, because you want them to be incels. Because if they are volcels, voluntarily celibate, you lose all of your power. The only thing that you have power... See, this is why women should get married early, right? When they still retain the power to pick a good mate and like control a man to a certain degree. That way, when they turn 35 or something like that, they have a safe base. They have kids. They have their husband and stuff like that. They have a house, typically. They have... excuse me. These vapes are fucking rough. This one's been rough on me. They have that safe base because they're going to lose that allure of their sexuality at that point. A lot of women don't have that. They don't have the kids and the husband when they turn 35. And they kind of go a little crazy. They go a little crazy. They go super duper crazy.
To grow her power, you start choosing women who respect your boundaries. You walk away when manipulation appears. You stop negotiating your manhood.
Critical Thought says it's 10% who suffer because they are insufferable. Maybe 20% are alone by choice. No, you're looking at this from a female point of view. You just simply don't understand. You just simply... I can't even... You do not understand, Thought. You have to trust me. I'm not lying to you. You simply don't understand.
For temporary comfort.
Yeah, that's just
and
it.
Most importantly...
It's not like, oh, only 10% of guys are not getting it. No, it is the vast majority. It is like 80, 90% that... I mean, like 80% of men under the age of 30 these days is a virgin. Does that not, like, set off any red flags to you? Does that not, like, violate your expectations in any way? It is not. 90% of men get essentially nothing. And the 10% get the entire pie. No pun intended.
You stop apologizing for being a man with standards, with strength, with silence. Schopenhauer predicted that the man who resists illusion would suffer less because he would no longer offer his soul to something designed only to
Critical Thought says 90% of the people I know are married or partnered. Mm-hmm. Yep. That means nothing. You just don't know the ones that aren't. You don't know 100% of people. You know people that are married because they're married to fucking women that you know. You don't understand. You never even met the people that are fucking not getting, you would give them the time of day. Just because 90% of the people you know are married doesn't mean that 90% of the people are out there getting laid. What a silly assumption. What a silly assumption. Do you not see how that's a crazy thing to say? You don't know everybody, Thought. You don't. You just don't. You've never met the vast majority of men who get nothing. I have. I've met lots and lots of men who don't get anything. And haven't sometimes ever. Yeah, Jess knows, 90% of the people Jess knows are married or partnered. That's true. Because she's a fucking girl. Do you understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? It is a completely different thing. It is a different world that you cannot understand. It is not, 90% of the people I know are married. Yeah. No shit. No shit. And if I could properly drill it into your skull that it's because you're a female that's the case, then we can actually get somewhere. But otherwise, it's not going anywhere. You only know 90% of the guys that you only know them because of your female friends. And you might know some guys that aren't partnered and stuff like that. That is irrelevant. That is completely irrelevant. I promise you. 90% of men in general are single and remain single for almost their entire lives.
Test, extract, and move on. He would love.
Thought says, where do you meet these gutter dwellers? Sometimes in the fucking gutter. Sometimes just look. Thought, there's so much you're not seeing. There's just so much you're not seeing. There is millions, billions of men out there. Right? Just because 90% of the ones you know are married doesn't mean 90% of men are married. Do you understand? Do you understand?
From a distance, serve without becoming a servant. Give.
Carbon says women have zero concept of men issues, so they are not worth talking to. He's right. He's absolutely. The disconnect is just so wide that I couldn't even properly describe it to Thought where she would understand. Because here's a very specific thing about women. They can't imagine a life that's different from their own. They can't step out of their shoes and imagine that somebody else's life is so vastly different from their own experience. They relate everything to their experience, the experiences that they have had in their life, because they can't imagine anything else, right? And Thought just did the exact thing right there, that men must be getting laid all the time and having tons of success because 90% of the men that she knows are married. So she's extrapolating her experiences onto the general population. This is simply untrue. And I know, Thought, that you are going to disagree until the cows come home. But please just understand me when I say that you have no concept. You have no concept of the loneliness of men. You have no concept of the vast swaths. And they're not gutter people. They're honestly just normal guys. Right? I mean, literally the average guy. The not top 10%. The average man. You have no concept. Because you've never experienced it. And you never will. Ever. In your life. And consider yourself lucky, honestly. Being a man is exceptionally difficult. There's challenges that we are faced with that you can never understand. And I'm not saying that women aren't challenged by certain things in their lifetime. I would understand that they are. Of course, they are presented with certain unique challenges that I will never understand. Just know, it's not men that are getting laid. Not all men are getting laid all the time. I feel like I hear this from women a lot. Like, oh, men have dating so easy. It's so easy for men to date. They just choose not to, or they're just bad at it, or blah, 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 or blah, blah, blah. It is not the case. Women are just using their experiences and then pasting it onto men and then judging them for it, which is insane. Which is insane to me. You can't explain it to that. You can't explain it to women that they're wrong. They will never understand. And in modern day society, they think they're smart. They think they're brilliant. Right? They're like, oh, look at me. I went to college. I racked up 80 grand in debt. Blah, 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 blah. You don't even you don't. You just can't. You just simply can't.
Without losing his core. And that, in the end, is not misogyny. It's...
Yeah, thought. I'm married with 2 kids. You think I was always married with 2 kids? Are you insane? You don't think I went through some struggles? You don't think I went through some tough times? You think I was just born, married with 2 kids? You think this just fucking happened? You don't think I went through dark fucking times? I did. And so does every other man. So does maybe some guys are just, I don't know. I would kind of doubt that no man has been through some extremely dark times, because this is just the world we live in. But like, come on, thought. Just because I have kids and a wife doesn't mean that all men find it so super duper easy all the time, and it's all just their own fault for not being able to date. This is the closed-minded attitude that, I mean, that the people in the manosphere refer to, and this is their psychology towards you, because you cannot understand. You just simply can't. It's not possible. This is not possible. Yes, I am one of the lucky ones. I got out. I caught the last chopper out of Nam. I get that. I understand. But that's because of my position, right? That's because of the work I've accomplished over my fucking 3 or 4 decades on this planet. It wasn't just handed to me. It wasn't like I was just fucking sailed into it. It was hard. It's hard.
Sovereignty. It's the ability to hold your line in a world that wants you disarmed. It's the courage to walk alone until you find someone worthy to walk beside you. So don't become angry. Become a...
Carbon says, like I said, no point in talking to women about this. And Thought says, so he doesn't understand it either, whatever it is. I guess incels think if they complain enough, someone will pity suck their dick. No, that's not at all what they think. No, you're completely wrong. It's not about complaining. It's not about complaining, because they know complaining does nothing. And most men are trained from the get-go not to complain, not to cry, not to like whine about shit. This is entrenched masculinity in men, right? We're taught not to complain. And a lot of men, even after being taught not to complain, need a place to vent a little bit about their frustrations, because there's a lot of frustration, and you are making the perfect case for that. You're making the perfect case for that, Thought. You understand so little about the world of a man that you're making it actively worse, because you're belittling their struggles, their point of view, and then you're just passing it off as in they're whiny crybabies that just don't do anything all day but like eat Cheetos and play Xbox. That is so far from the truth that, again, you wouldn't possibly believe it. You wouldn't possibly believe it. The darkness that these men dwell in is vast and limitless. Okay? It is eternal. It is not a place you would like to visit. But this is where men are born. This is where they're born. Right? And it used to be easier to crawl out of, right? Sure, back in the boomer days, it was, you can get a job at a factory and make enough money to buy 2 houses and a fucking boat and then get any hottie 10 out of 10 you wanted because, it really didn't matter who a woman married because they're all making generally the same amount of money and they're all going to provide a decent standard of living. Obviously, this isn't the case anymore. So a lot of guys just kind of, hang out there, languish, and suffer. This isn't a good existence. This isn't something that you want to do, not by a long shot. And some of these guys have gotten rejected so roundly and so consistently that they've actually had psychological damage and sometimes physical damage in their brains from just eons, days and days and days of just crushing isolation that, again, you would never understand, that it changes their ability to speak, right? And this is without any sort of like autism or speech impediment or anything. This is just a normal guy. A normal person. Average looking. The amount that his life, that he has gone through, the suffering that he experiences, changes him. It changes him, further extracting him from society. And this is a very serious issue. Because when you have a nation filled with men with no, futures, essentially, with absolutely no future and no reason to go on, no reason to live, they get violent. They do. This has happened before. And it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. It's just, that's how it is. And, you're absolutely making the point. You're absolutely making the point by just not understanding whatsoever. Let's watch this one.
Should trans people have rights?
No.
Well, I don't know. I feel like since we live in a country that was founded upon
I'll go ahead and stomp that one out.
the principle that we're all created equal and deserve all the same rights and liberties, and since anyone who has ever opposed rights for minorities has always been remembered as a bigot and a villain of history, it seems to me that the simple answer is yes.
Oh no, someone tell this guy that these were all Democrats. The Democrats were pro-slavery, the Democrats were the party of the KKK, and they were in favor of Jim Crow laws. Not a good look. And somebody has to question these people about what a right is, because I feel like they don't know the definition of that word.
So let's look at a primary source, like the Constitution. The 14th Amendment says, "No state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws." This basically means the government needs to treat everyone equally. But turns out that many of our conservative friends disagree.
Critical Thought says, I've never met an incel in real life. As far as I'm concerned, it's an internet myth. No, it's not a myth. Trust me. I can introduce you to some. They out there. And they're plentiful. Look. The incel thing, I would say most men are incels. I would say most of them are. Yeah, it's just not a myth. I meet good, normal-ass people every damn day. That's fantastic. And that doesn't mean they're not incels. Look, incels aren't bad people. Incels are not bad people whatsoever. In fact, sometimes they're the nicest, sweetest, and they could be good looking and handsome and tall and shit like that, but they're just still not getting any. Your vision of an incel and my vision of an incel are completely different. You don't even know how different. Because when you imagine an incel, you're thinking of like comic book guy or something like that. When I imagine an incel, it's just a normal person. It is a normal guy, right? That goes to the gym and stuff like that and has a job. It does the 9 to 5 and all that. He just doesn't have, he doesn't get laid, not through any fault of his own. It's just he's not the top 10%er. He's not the top 10% guy. So he's not going to get any sort of real attention. It's not that he's a bad person or lower or anything like that, but like you go on the internet and women will call him worthless and scum and like, a horrible person just because he's not getting laid. Imagine what that does to you. Imagine what that does to your psyche. It's got to be pretty damaging.
Is he going to explain which constitutional rights that conservatives want to take away from trans people? No, he's not, because they aren't trying to do that.
Renee says this stream has been weird. It is what it is.
What's curious, though, is I can think of a very important constitutional right that trans activists have
Thought says give them the robots, do it, issue them AI whores, GI hoes. Like like the sex robots. I know you think that's a good idea. I promise you it's not. Like if they do come out with like legitimate analogs of women where it's like indistinguishable from an actual woman, it is going to be a huge problem. I mean, it'll be a problem for the human race. It's not like trust me, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. We need to work on another solution, but what that is, I have no idea. I'm not that smart. I don't have that solution. I don't know what to do to change society so radically. I don't know. Get rid of all the computers. Get rid of the law, the system of law. Bring us back to, I don't know, the 1500s, the 1800s, the 50 years of fucking go. Do that. I don't have that ability. I kind of wish I did. It would make things a lot better. And then I would be the god of time, which would be pretty fucking sweet.
try to take away from people for the past decade.
Criticizing trans in like 2021 or 2022 would get you deplatformed.
I actually think the trans stuff goes as far back as 2019, and radical leftists have been arguing to repeal or circumvent First Amendment protections for over a decade now. That being said...
This guy's your favorite, isn't he, Thought? You like this guy.
Today we're going to talk about an up-and-coming 19-year-old YouTuber who goes by Hadi Rahim, who's had a couple of hit videos recently because, thanks to the whole Dean Withers crowd, a lot of people are getting their...
I don't know who this guy is. Who is that? Is he one of those the liberal ones? Like the ones that... I don't know.
Political takes from influencers who just barely became adults. But the reason this person caught my interest is because he makes videos that are,
he's
for
a
the
baby.
most part, pretty well put together, and he's very good at appearing that he's very knowledgeable in his field. To give a backhanded compliment, he sounds super smart if you don't have much prior knowledge in these areas, and if you don't have a lot of critical thinking skills that would cause you to question certain things. However, if you do the slightest bit of fact-checking, you can see he has no idea what he's doing. That's the real problem, and the illusion of intelligence or competence from political pundits.
Thought says, well, then it's a normal guy, and he can go and meet a normal girl. My guess is they're using dating apps which don't work, then they bitch. Plus, if you really wanted a trad wife type, they claim they shouldn't be trying to get laid. A normal girl is not going to go with a normal guy. That's just not how it works. No, that's not how biology. Women will go for the best one they can possibly get, and with the ample options they have with like Tinder and stuff like that, a normal guy honestly just does not have a shot. This is the crux of the problem that society is having right now. This is why population decline is such a serious issue, because women are going to go for the best one they can get, And so the top 10% of guys, oftentimes the top 5% of guys, get harems and stuff like that. Not that they're willing to like wife these bitches up because, you know, they're swimming in it. But 90 to 95% of men that wouldn't make good, solid husbands and fathers, they're not, you know, their to-be wife is already fucking Chad. It's just, it is a weird confluence between female biology and modern technology that has created this issue. That's the problem. That's the situation.
Has become quite annoying. For example,
A normal guy is not going to get a normal girl. That's a silly thing to say.
The scientific community largely agrees that gender-affirming care, even for minors, saves lives. This scientific consensus, and yes, it's a scientific consensus, this isn't just an appeal to an authority. This is the result of numerous peer-reviewed studies that found that gender-affirming care has led to significantly lower rates of depression and suicidality among people with dysphoria.
I mean, arguing
Okay, so who did they poll? Who did they interview? Were they alive?
in favor of consensus is also a logical.
That's like that story of like, so there was planes that came back from World War II, right? They went out fighting the Germans and stuff, and they came back to England, and they were all shot full of holes and stuff like that. And so the English engineers put armor on the holes on the planes because this is where they got shot and stuff like that, until somebody was all like, hey, wait a minute. These are the holes on the planes that came back, right? So maybe we should patch the places where the bullets didn't hit, because that'll bring the fucking plane back, right? If there's bullet holes in the plane and the plane came back, then those parts are fine. But the places without the bullet holes are the important places, like under the cockpit and in the gas tanks and in the engine bay. You know, something that will take a plane down. This is the same thing. You're interviewing transgendered people that are still alive when half of them probably didn't make it. So yeah, the ones that are still alive being like, yeah, it's definitely lowered my suicide risk. Yup. Until a week later, you know.
Fallacy, just like appeals to authority. Lots of people believing something doesn't necessarily mean it's true, especially on a politically charged.
Knobs Dog says suicide rates will rebound down the road when they can't change back. Yeah. Yes. And look, there's going to be that odd case of one that like stayed transitioned for like 30 years. You're going to see that, especially with the vast numbers of them transitioning. But like, most of them are going to go the route of the rope, you know.
Issue where there is a lot of censorship of
you don't want to gauge your flesh wound every day, twice a day for the rest of your life. That's not a way to live your life. That would be horrific. That would be a horrific way to live.
dissenting opinion. I mean, they tried to kick Jordan Peterson out of his university and went after his clinical license for extremely moderate takes on this issue, one of which Hadi plays in his video on trans people.
Kids are confused enough when they're growing up. I think to add gender confusion to that, which we're doing very, very rapidly, is going to destroy 15 people for every one it saves.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. But even that one it saves, it's probably also destroyed. That person was destroyed anyway. You know, you're not saving that one person. You're just destroying 16 people. It's not a path. It's not a path to health for anyone. No one is going to be better from chopping their dick off. No one gets better from that. No one gets better from, well, chopping your tits off is one thing because you could have a mastectomy because you have like breast cancer or something. But you know that's not what I'm talking about. No one gets better from changing their gender. That's not how it works. That's never been how it works. This is a mass psychosis that society is suffering from. That is really more symptomatic than an actual problem in itself.
Why is this guy Hadi is so concerned with stuff like constitutional rights, but doesn't mention the horrendous amount of censorship around this issue? Well, he's only 19 and probably just started caring about this.
Thought says, they sell dilators next to tampons now at the CVS. Is this medieval torture times? Because a dilator would be a torture tool back in the day, right? I thought about squeezing ketchup package in a package. Oh my God, Jesus, God. Carbon says, I need 6 penises or I'm going to end it. Like attached to your body? How? Is it going to be like nipples on a dog? How would you do that? And would you be some sort of like fertility god after that?
Stuff a year ago after he took Political Science 101. So he might not be aware of the
Shiva penis, yeah.
censorship stuff because they stopped doing a lot of it in 2023. But according to him, there is a massive consensus in the scientific world that gender-affirming care works. Maybe this data is so correct that it should be criminal to speak out against it, and there are...
Look, dude, it's not... It's pretty clear what's going on. There is a political agenda going on, and the medical wing, the medical industry is firmly in control of, this political agenda to hurt people. That's all it is. It's just hurting people. I don't believe anybody is transgendered or anything like that. Some people have issues with like psychosis, and there's lots of people on medications these days, and yeah, it's bad. It's bad out there.
Totally no conflicts of interest here, like how much of a moneymaker this all is because gender-affirming care is expensive.
And it's you're a lifelong customer. You're a lifelong patient. You have to be on hormones for the rest of your life. You have to dilate the rest of your life. You have to go into the vagina shop, whatever it is, and like make sure it's not infected or filled with poop or doing whatever the hell it does, or doesn't close up and heal. And there's like a million things that you constantly have to go in, and this costs a lot of money. This is a money-making endeavor, and it destroys children's lives, especially when they start transgendering when they're like 12 or something like that. That's insane. You haven't even tried being your gender yet. How do you know you want to be the other one? How do you know that? You haven't even tried the first one yet. You're still a kid.
That being said, let's look at the studies. Hadi flashes 11 studies across the screen, which I can almost guarantee that he didn't read, especially considering that most of these studies are paywalled, and this one even disagrees with his point. But more importantly, I looked over every single one, and yes, after they did gender-affirming care, like giving hormones to children...
Carbon says, I know more about this stuff than I ever wanted to. Hey, me too. Me too. Me and Jess too. Look, the internet has its benefits. It really does. It is a society-changing tool, to say the least. But it also has its dark sides, and nobody out there can say it doesn't. Right? There's things like pornography. There's constant fighting about political issues that kind of don't fucking matter. There's you always knowing somebody's opinion and constantly disagreeing, and then you get in constant fights over nonsense, bullshit. There's groups of people that people shouldn't be in groups, but like the incel things and stuff like that. And yes, you can talk about like social and political things on the internet. It's just, I feel a lot of the time that the internet has caused more harm to society than good. And I know this can be argued, but my point can be argued as well. And you can see evidence of this from declining birth rates. You can see the lack of formation of families, the division between genders, sexes. It doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't fucking matter. I do kind of wish for a time before all of this nonsense. Like in the 90s, 95, 99, something like that. Sure, we had little bits of internet and stuff like that, but not like the monster it is today. Not like the absolute cancer it has grown to and then metastasized throughout society. And now we're all stage 4 absolute fucking losers. It sucks. It does. And we all sit in these fucking rooms behind our blue glowing computer screens talking to each other like it fucking matters. Instead, we should be getting thrown out of bars like fucking Thought is. Right? I'm just saying. There is something to be said for ignorance. It's okay to be ignorant. It's okay not knowing every single problem in the world. It's honestly better for our psyches. But we're constantly bombarded by terrible news and terrible people always in our face. And that's it. That's all. That's all we're constantly just getting downloaded right here. Instead of going outside and like looking in the sunshine. And I know some people do that. I do that. I go to the beach where I don't get service. And I go surfing and I play with my kids on the beach. And I do that pretty often. But not most people. Not most people. That's the issue. That's the problem. Most people aren't going out and living their lives. They just have this kind of pseudo digital kind of purgatory that they're trapped in. They're literally trapped in. Literally trapped in. Because it is kind of addictive. You know, this constant dopamine hit when you discover something new. When you scroll and you're like, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's not interesting. That's not interesting anymore. I don't care about that. I don't give a fuck. Why am I still doing this? Why am I still scrolling? I'm trapped. I'm trapped like a fucking rat in some weird cell without walls. There's no walls here. And you can put down your phone. You can do that. But then you're just going to pick it right back up because your dopamine receptors are so fried from this constant stimulation that you don't feel normal without it. Have you ever like lost your phone or like had it die for long periods of time? I'm sure some of you have, but a lot of you haven't. It's not comfortable. You know, when a hurricane comes through here and knocks out my power and knocks out my internet, and I don't have a phone, I don't have like a TV, I don't have video games or anything like that, it's kind of fucking boring. It's kind of fucking boring, I'll tell you. It sucks. But it's good, you know. A week without internet, it's not the worst thing in the world. You know, you start to be like, oh, look, there's birds outside and shit like that. Well, let's go play in the grass and have a good time. And then it comes right back on. And you know where you are? You're right back in Twitter. And there's something so depressing about it. But I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not planning on going anywhere. I feel like I have something to do. I have a mission. I have achievements that need achieving. You know? So I'm going to be here, always.
Reportedly
For
saw
you.
some improvement in
Specifically for you.
mental health. Well, except for this study that said there was basically no change, and the ones who already had good mental health before the study still had good mental health after, and the ones with bad mental health still had...
Carbon says, I can't have 4K 3D super porn streaming into my brain 24/7. What's the point of being alive? Exactly. I don't see a point in being alive. If I'm not constantly getting those huge dopamine boosts always, then I'm just going to shrivel up and die. I need my super porn. I need my constant stimulation. I need 300 tabs of pornography or I just can't get an erection. That is a serious problem. That is a serious issue.
bad mental health after the study. Outside of that...
Because, you know, actually forming a relationship and having a relationship, it takes a lot of work. It does. It takes a lot of work. And if your dopamine receptors are fried out, where you're just like constantly like, oh, this is boring, I'm going to move on, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So you need to like do something about that. I don't know what. I'm not Jordan Peterson here. I'm not Jordan. I'm not a fucking college professor. I'm borderline retarded. I mean, that's what everyone always tells me. I'm borderline retarded, if not full-blown retarded, which I'm okay with because I've seen the world. And, like, if I'm retarded, it's like everyone's super retarded. Everyone's super fucking stupid. I swear to God. Why is everyone so goddamn stupid? It's frustrating to me. And fine, I'm retarded. I believe you. Now will you stop saying such stupid things and having such stupid opinions and having such stupid points of view? Because I'm retarded. I don't know what the fuck you are. I swear to God. I'm not saying I'm smarter than anybody out there. Honestly, I don't know if I am or I'm not. But I know there are a lot of stupid fucking people. And I'm not saying that, look, you can be smart and still be fucking stupid. I've seen that a lot. I really have. I really have seen that a lot. But you don't have to be stupid if you're smart. You don't have to be stupid. But every day I see the choice over and over again to be stupid and to be dumb and to be dumber. And I don't know if it's choice. I just see it happening. And I think I'm crazy. I feel crazy. I'm taking crazy pills over here.
The biggest problem with all these studies
Why is everyone so
is that
fucking
they don't test
stupid?
gender-affirming care against other types of treatment. So it could be the case that children talking to a therapist...
Sulk says, don't sell yourself short, John. You're not borderline retarded. You're full-on retarded. Thank God. Thank God. Because I would rather be crazy than see what, like, the things I'm seeing be real. I would rather be batshit fucking insane than have the things that I see going on in society be real. I'd rather be schizophrenic staring at a staticky TV, right? And I'm just like, they're talking to me. They're talking to, you see? I see it in the static. I would rather that be the case. I would rather that be the case than all the fucking dog shit opinions I see on the internet every single day. Oh my God, it gives me a fucking headache. I can't handle it. I just can't fucking handle it. But anyways, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and end right there. And I hope you can handle it. I really do. I hope you can handle it, and I hope you handle it with me over here on the Sulk stream. I know it was a weird one today, guys, but it's Monday. So we're going to have weird ones again tomorrow and the day after. And then eventually we're all going to hell, or we're all going to purgatory, or we're all going wherever we're going. We're all going insane. We're all going insane. So come. Let's go insane together. Right? It'd be nice to have some company. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you have a good night. And stay strong. And stay beautiful and vibrant. And make me proud every way you can. And until tomorrow, drink a lot of water. Get a good night's sleep. And take care of yourselves. Because I care about you too. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Good night.
I'm an incredible soul, unhinged and enraged like a bulldog's fierce growl. I'm spitting fire, burning through these trees, questioning the world, unraveling conspiracies. Talking about Bigfoot, but I guess monster too. Government lies, they're feeding me their goo. I'm diving deep into this rabbit hole, uncovering the truth. To every word I spoke.